Okay, we're running, we're good? You sure? All right. Thanks, sorry. All right, good evening, everyone. Would like to start this meeting a little different, so if everyone would please stand before we go into our prayer. Would like to observe a moment of silence regarding the tragedy that occurred in North College Hill in the early morning hours of Friday, March 31st. We mourn the deaths of Springfield Township Police Officer Tim Unwin and North College Hill resident William Dunson. So please join me in a moment of silence. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen. Amen. Call this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of North College Hill City Council. It is April 3rd, 2023. Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein.
Present.
Ms. DeWald.
Here.
Ms. Underwood.
Here.
Ms. Alexander.
Here.
Ms. Zorb.
Here.
Ms. Blythe.
Here.
Ms. Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. You have tonight's agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald,
I move to accept the agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson.
I'll second that motion.
Motion for Ms. DeWald, second for Ms. Anderson to accept tonight's agenda. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein.
Yes.
Ms. DeWald.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Blythe.
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. You also have the minutes from the meeting on March 20th, 2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald,
I move to accept the minutes.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I'll second that.
Motion for Ms. DeWald, second for Ms. Underwood to accept the meeting minutes from the March 20th meeting. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein.
Yes.
Ms. DeWald.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Blythe.
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. What do we have for communication this evening, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. Only one communication provided to council was the March's mayor's court report provided in your packet.
Thank you. All right, we'll turn our attention to council committees, starting with City Community Development and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have it all pulled up. Look at me. I know I missed the last council meeting, which is when I would have normally given this report, so I'll just kind of give it, but this was for last month's committee meeting. We opened talking about, which was put onto the agenda, and I know the first reading already happened for the Alice and Phoebe Carey Day legislation to recognize them as Native feminists, abolitionists, and poets to our wonderful city. We also talked about the renters registration legislation, which, like I said, is also for the second reading for tonight, as well as the splash pad legislation, which, again, second reading for tonight. We also got a little bit of an update for the senior center. All seems to be going well. We got insurance, all that fun stuff. We also had an update on, we had a small update of just when future meetings were happening for the comprehensive plan and economic development. And we also got a wonderful update from Ms. Zorb about, I know I missed last council meeting, but I know you guys talked about the beautiful tree. And we also passed the bulletin board item to rules and public policy to kind of go over that, and hopefully it can be ordered soon and you guys can have an awesome board. We adjourned, and the next meeting for City Community Development and Recreation will be next week, April 10th at 6:30.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you
you.
for serving as the chair of this committee.
It was a joy, really was. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, next up is budget and finance.
We have not met since our last council meeting, but we'll meet again on April the 10th at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you. Next up, rules and public policy.
Thank you, Mr. President. We last met on Monday, March 27th, 2023. We talked about the facility use policy, and Ms. Clear was explaining just kind of the differences between the use of the building where we meet and the potential use of the senior center facility. Talked about some of the things that needed to happen before that facility could be rented out, and that she will, present us with those policies and make sure that they are in order. And we'll run that by our law director as well. We also talked about the parental ordinance. We figured out exactly what those were. So we're in the process of reviewing those, and we'll make sure that we have something to present to council after our next meeting. We didn't really have time to talk about council rules during this meeting, but we did talk about what might be included in a binder for new members. We thought that it was very important to include that since we potentially will have a new member. So we talked a lot about what would be included in a binder, and I just thought that this committee would probably be the appropriate committee to put that binder together to kind of make the transition for our new council member a lot easier than it was for those coming previous. So we have a list that we had compiled for that. Our action items was to follow up with the law director with regard to the parental ordinances. I apologize to Ms. Anderson that I forgot to put the bulletin board on the agenda, but I wrote it down. It will be on the next agenda, and that is all that I have.
Thank you for that. Before we go to public policy, I do just want to mention anyone that wants to address council, if you would please sign in at that table over there. Next up is public safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's see. We met on Monday, March 27th at 7:30 p.m. We talked about street signs, and Ms. Icky gave us a lot of good information about how that could potentially happen, that could come out of the street funds, just that the street signs need to be consistent in size and in type. And we just thought that it was probably most appropriate to ask for a quote to change all of the signs to make them consistent. And we spent most of our meeting talking about traffic calming. I had been over on Reading Road, and there are speed humps on Reading Road, for those of you who don't know, because I know that we had all been concerned about putting speed humps on Galbraith and Hamilton, but Reading Road has speed humps, and I mean like serious speed humps too, like slow your car down to 20 miles per hour speed humps. So I think that if they can put them on Reading Road, we certainly can put them on Hamilton and Galbraith to slow the traffic down. So I am going to be aggressive about the speed humps now that I know that there's really no reason why we can't put them in the areas that cause us the most problems with car accidents, And I'll just point out that there was a car accident this morning on Hamilton Avenue in North College Hill, making me late for work, just saying. So I don't know the details or anything. I just know that Hamilton Avenue was blocked for quite a significant amount of time this morning. And, you know, speed humps slow. It will slow all of that down going down through there. I'm just saying. So we also talked about maybe flashing stop signs as well. But I think, you know, speed humps, that's the way to go. So, and that's all we talked about.
Thank you. Next up is ad hoc reports. Does anyone have an ad hoc report this evening? Hearing none, we'll move to administrative reports. Good evening, Madam Mayor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would first like to send my condolences to the police officer from Springfield Township and Officer Unwin, and also to the Dunson family. That was such a tragic event. We never know. And just, I would encourage everyone, as everyone has always said, to love on your family because you never know the appointed time or your appointed time. My condolences to both of those families and their co-workers and families and friends. With that being said, I had spoken with Ms. Iki on Friday. I got the message pretty early in the morning, exactly 12:56 to be exact, on Friday morning. And when I was able to speak with her, I just sort of mentioned that we need to possibly do whatever we need to do to correct our situation with our traffic, leading with the speed humps, reflectors on those islands. And actually, when I was actually out of town, and when I got back, I rode up and down to look at the actual islands in that stretch of area on Hamilton. And unless I missed it, I only saw one reflector. The reflector sat on top of the curb. I think we probably need to add something different that's along, you know, the side of the actual island. I think also speeding up the process of getting some type of, it looks, there's nothing there, no grass or anything. So to the naked eye, mine, who can't see anything, I mean, if you're going at a high rate of speed or whatever the speed and you go to merge around, I could see hitting it. So I think that we need to be a little bit more proactive. As I said, I talked to Ms. Iki, and she actually has said during their staff meeting that morning that Mr. Reuter had brought that up, that maybe that they needed to put reflectors out there. So that would be one of the things that we would make our priority to do. And with the amount of accidents just within a week, I think that was 2 accidents that week. I did not see the one this morning. I'm going to say it publicly at this particular point. If speed is the issue, I do think that we might want to consider just in that stretch adding those, not the type of pumps that are on Bising and on the other streets. I think it needs to be the concrete kind that we install just from Ronald Reagan to Galbraith. I'm not sure what that looks like coming down that hill from North Bend to Galbraith, but I mean, I do know that people get up to 60, 70 just in that stretch. I see multiple vehicles run the lights at
Oaknall. At Sundale.
at Clovernall, Center Ridge, Sundale, and it's really dangerous. I mean, you know, I've seen kids almost get hit, adults as well. So I think we need to be a little bit more proactive and do something, and not where we just talk about it. We have to say, this is what we're going to do, and do it.
All right.
Wherever that needs to come from. And I would like to wish everyone a happy Resurrection Sunday or happy Easter, whichever you prefer. That's all I have.
Mr. President,
Ms. Ord?
Madam Mayor, do you think it'd be possible for us to paint the perimeter yellow also? Because it would be essentially going over the double yellow line. So maybe we paint that whole curb yellow and the reflectors, and then, I don't know, I'm throwing ideas out.
I'm not opposed to it. I've just never seen it, so I don't know what that would look like. I'm sure someone has done it somewhere.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I think that's a great idea, but they have paint on the streets that are reflective for lines and stuff.
I think they're white.
But if it were white, wouldn't that be more pleasing to the eye, have it white and then it's all
I'll
reflective?
be honest, I've seen, Madam, Mr. President, I've seen reflective paint. I just don't think we have any here. It's more so on the highway where I see it, that type. I don't think any of our lines are that way.
But
and it's
are
in-
we able to purchase? We'll have to check into it, I guess, see if we can purchase.
I'm
that
sure
kind
that's
of paint.
something we can look into to see if we can have it repainted that way. But I only see those reflective lines when I'm on the highway.
Correct.
I don't see them,
Right.
and I'm not
I
sure.
know they're not in the city, or I'm not aware of
I
them.
mean, we can also speak with our engineers to see what other traffic calming measures they would suggest. We would have to, speak with them anyway to see if the speed hump would be okay for that area, just because of the way the traffic signals are and because you have traffic lights like this. And I remember before when they came out at one particular time, I can't remember what the study was for. They told us that the traffic lights were too close together. So
Mr.
I
President.
do know over in, what's this at the bottom of the hill? Is that Hartwell?
Which way you're going, east?
I'm going down
Down North
Galveston,
Bend.
turn
East.
right.
Hartwell,
Down North Bend.
Hartwell,
down.
Carthage.
Yeah, they have a traffic light that runs together, so, but ours doesn't do that. If the traffic light ran together, let's say that traffic light at Kroger's and then that other one right there at, once you clear the bridge, it's, theirs run, so when this one turns green, that one turns green. When that one turns red, this one turns red. And the traffic light is probably from this wall to that wall.
Mr. President?
I had Ms. Underwood next.
What I will also point out to everyone is something that I noticed when I had to detour the accident on Hamilton Avenue this morning. I had to go down Teakwood, and there is a traffic circle on Teakwood. So I think that that's also an option, and I know that nobody likes traffic circles, but they slow the traffic down for sure, because you have to pay attention to the traffic on the other side of the circle. It was a small one, but everybody had to slow down and stop to allow the traffic to travel through there. It's on Teakwood Avenue, like off of Hamilton right there.
It should be the last street.
Ms. Anderson?
I mean, I know it'll take a while to get all these thank you, Mr. President. I know it'll take a while to get all these traffic calming measures into place. I mean, I think something that's important right now, though, is to have more police presence on Hamilton Avenue. And I know we're low staffed, and I know we're helping out Springfield Township right now. I get that, but I think that's kind of a poor excuse when you're talking about 2 deaths that just happened in one car accident on top of 2 other car accidents within the same week. So there were 3 altogether. There was one involving an infant, one involving a cop and a resident being killed, and then one right in front of Kroger the very next day. And then again one this week. So I think having the excuse of, well, we're low staffed, and I think that's kind of a poor excuse for us right now. And I think it kind of makes us look bad as a council and as an administration to say, well, we're not going to put, our police officers there to protect our city because we're low staffed. I think it's important for them to be there right now. So I don't know if that's something you guys also want to consider too, but I think that's really important. And I think it would make our city look like we're doing something immediate that can help instead of doing something that might take place in 2 months.
Good
I
idea.
do, and I have not seen it. I believe the chief, when I had a conversation with him at one point, I thought he told me that the, state troopers were supposed to come out, but I haven't seen them.
Nope.
I haven't seen them. I only generally see them in the summer.
Mr. President,
Ms. Alexander?
I just want to piggyback what Margie was saying. As I was out this weekend, talking to citizens, that was one of their main concerns. Where is the police presence with the speeding and monitoring? I kept hearing that over and over and over. So it's a major concern in the community.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next up, we have the city administrator's report. Good evening, Ms. Zeki.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since we met last, I had the opportunity to sign our new 3-year contract for the electric rates for the city-owned facilities through the Center for Local Government. You may recall that you passed some legislation authorizing that about a month ago, so that contract has been executed. We are locked in on our utility rates for the next 3 years. We also filed our Ohio EPA Surface Water Annual Report last week, which JMA, our city engineers, were helpful in that. I will also follow up with JMA from the comments that were made here about the traffic calming and see if they have any recommendations as our engineers as a way to move forward to alleviate some of those concerns. In terms of an upcoming event, preparations are underway for the city's first Community Take Action Day, scheduled for April 22nd. A list of project ideas and a flyer is on the website. And parade sign-up is pending approval of a new route. So thanks to Cleveland for being on top of all the upcoming events for the city. We appreciate it. And Public Works has been busy, as you imagine, getting ready for spring. They've been out mowing grass, picking up litter. They have cleaned out approximately 30 catch basins and repaired 3 so far. Those are the highlights of my report. I think that with the kind of information I would like to provide you on an ongoing basis, I'm going to start preparing a written report for your packets every month and hit the highlights in the meeting, upcoming events, things that might be more timely, but you would have a detailed report probably the first week of the month, so for the month prior, so that we're able to, like for example, we would provide you a March report at the end of this week, because it's the first week in April. So following our first meeting of the month, I intend to have that out to you. We'll see how that works, and if that's a format that everyone likes, we'll continue with that, and if not, we can pivot and adjust and just make adjustments from there. I also want to call your attention to an email I sent you earlier today about an ongoing issue on Belmar. I have a path forward from our engineers, and I think that it would be expeditious of us to get this process started. So with that, I will end my comments.
Mr. President,
Ms. Orb?
so I have 2 questions. First of all, for the proposed report, will it be a look ahead and a look back kind of thing?
If that's what you want, I can do that. I was thinking a recap of what had happened, but certainly if there are issues that we're trying to get out ahead of, we can include those, absolutely.
Awesome. And then my second thing is, that's the first I've heard of this Take Action Day. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think it used to be the Community Cleanup Day, Ms. Claire.
Oh.
Thank you. So
Cleanup Day. Okay.
yes, it is a cleanup day with a new name. I think part of the effort behind that was to be a little more encompassing of the activities that could take place versus just a cleanup. So you might have a mindset if you hear just cleanup that you're out picking up litter. This is really a community building event, both to make some improvements on the community, but to look at other activities that might benefit the community as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Ms. Underwood?
Ms. Iki, so I have a question about the Belmar. Is that the flooding issue that we've been hearing a lot about? Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next up is the Law Director's report. Good evening, Mr. Laflamme.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report.
Thank you. And then the Finance Director's report. She is not with us this evening. So we'll move to call of members, starting with Ms. Dukes-Dean.
Hi, everybody. I would like to just give my deepest condolences to the Unwin family and the, is it Dunson family. deeply grieved by that incident. It is very, very sad, and I'm really, really sorry for both of the losses, and I'm praying for the families. I also would like to thank Public Works for their hard work. I've seen them out, and I kind of slightly want to address the traffic stuff on Hamilton Avenue. I drive that path every day in the thick of traffic getting my kids to school, and I do this way and that way, and I take different routes kind of just to see what's going on Hamilton Avenue, because I have less pressure coming home to be where I need to be versus going. And I will say to you all, during the thick of traffic right now with all of that construction going on, it is not a speed issue. I was going to address this regardless of what we had going on before the accidents. They need, the people that are working that construction area, they need to have more people helping to direct the traffic. People are confused in the morning, and I'm not sure if that other two accidents that happened right before Kroger, or the other one that happened with a young lady and the infant, were like what was going on, but it wasn't about speed. I do know that. So I'm suggesting that we deal with something else, like with the construction. Like I was coming out to turn right onto Hamilton Avenue, and it was completely blocked. So people were frazzled as to which way to go. So you're rerouting when you're in the morning trying to get where you need to go. That can be destabilizing, especially when you don't know the back streets of, you know, the different quadrants, and they're redirecting you. And so people are making small errors. I myself was like a little frazzled, and I do know which way to go. So I would just say maybe we can have a flagger out there or somebody, because there was no one to help me kind of navigate which way I was supposed to go. And I almost didn't see that I wasn't supposed to go straight. And I would have, there was like a hole in the middle of the street. So I just want to say that. And speed was a factor in the other accident, which kind of changes. Typically, we don't want speed to be an issue for lay people who are just driving down Hamilton Avenue, but with a police officer in pursuit of someone, that changes the factors differently. I'm not saying that we shouldn't get reflectors or yellow painting around the medians or whatever in the middle, but I am saying that let's look at it for what it is, so we can take accountability as a city for what we need to do to make it the safest space. But what is recent isn't really about speed. So I just wanted to offer that. The other thing is, I want to say happy resurrection. And Miss Anderson, it's your last day. It's been an honor to work with you. Thank you very much for your service. I appreciate you, and you will be missed. That is all.
Thank you. Ms. DeWald?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do agree with Ms. Dukes-Dean. Today, I happened to get caught up in the mess after the accident was cleared up, and it was still a mess. I wasn't frazzled, but the people around me, they don't want to sit still long enough. They want to run the lights. They want to push people off the road, and it was just, I felt like I was around a lot of angry drivers, and I just wanted to get out of it because of that reason. So I think, you know, personalities are starting to show. We have more and more road rage than ever before. But I agree with all those things that you want to put in place for our safety. Also, I would like to wish a fond farewell to Miss Anderson. It's been an absolute joy. You come from a really good family. And the work you've done here is very responsible, and that's much appreciated. You're going to be missed, and I'd like to wish everyone a happy Easter.
Thank you. Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, would like to offer my most sincere condolences to both the Dunson family and as well Officer Unwin. That just is absolutely unthinkable. I can't even imagine. So my sincere condolences to both of those families. I will continue to aggressively pursue the traffic calming and the whatever way we can make the streets and our 2.3 mile radius more safe. So I absolutely want people to know that if you are driving in North College Hill, you may run up on a speed hump at any place. So you need to slow down. I don't think that's a bad thing. So I will aggressively pursue that. And last but not least, I would also like to say farewell, but not goodbye, to Miss Anderson, because I'm sure she'll be around, volunteering and mixing it up for us. She just wants to be closer to work. Nothing wrong with that. So just want to let you know how proud I am to know you, and also just thank you so much for being a teacher, because God bless you. I can never do that. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Alexander?
I would like to extend my condolences to both families. You are certainly in my prayers. Also, a fond farewell to Marjorie. I enjoy being on your committee. Now I'm the vice chair of the committee. They're still looking for a chair. But really enjoyed, what you've contributed. Our talks about cars and and everything. And like I said, once again, good luck. I know you'll be back with more exciting ideas and things. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Orb?
I would like to express my condolences to the families of those who lost their lives. Also to the first responders who I'm sure saw their friend. I'm sure that wasn't, I'm sure that was very unpleasant for them. Also, Marjorie, I'm going to miss you, kid. I'm done.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes, I'd like to send my prayers and condolences to the families of the students and employees of the Presbyterian School who recently lost their lives due to violent gunfire. And I'd like to wish everyone a happy Easter if you celebrate that. And also good luck to Miss Marjorie on her future task or whatever she chooses to do. God bless you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Oh, I'm a crier, so give me a second. But I also want to offer my condolences to all the families affected in the car accidents recently. I can't imagine how the families who lost loved ones are feeling, and I know how much a car wreck can kind of turn your world upside down without a loss happening. So I give my thoughts to them. I also want to thank a lot of people for my time. I'll start with the police and fire. I hope that the police have felt kind of a fire to their back while I've been here in a good way, and I hope that they've kind of grown and as I have, and I know that I've found a big respect for Mr. Schran, and I hope that Chief Schran also found a common respect for me. So I wish him luck, and I know he's got a great group with him now, and I want to thank all the police officers, and I hope that I'm leaving with a much healthier relationship with our police department than I walked in. So thank you to them. With our fire department, I just have so much admiration and appreciation for them, for specifically Brian Fells and Doug Eikens. I just think that they're the best two people in our city. And I think we're really lucky to have them. And I'm going to miss those two. Student to our Public Works, Braden's amazing. He's doing a great job. So good luck to him, and I can't wait to see what he does. Thank you all to council and to Mike and to Christian and to our mayor. Sorry, I told you guys I'm a crier. And to everybody in administration. And I really appreciate you guys and all the work that you guys do. And a special thanks to Mary Jo. You've been a great mentor, and you dragged me by my leg into this seat, and I'm grateful that you did. So thank you so much. But I will be back. You can't kick me out of this city. No matter how hard they try, they will not get rid of me. So thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. I will just say what everybody else says. We'll miss you. Thank you for all your hard work.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
sorry, just one more thing. I just want to say keep the kiddos and NCH in your thoughts as they go through testing this week. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So next up, we have remarks from the audience. I know we have one signed in to address council.
Yes, we have a Mr. Alexander from 1615 Center Ridge Avenue.
Yes, if you would please take the podium up there, adjust the microphone. If anyone else would like to address council, please go sign in.
Good evening.
You can pull that microphone up. Yeah, there you go.
Be careful of your foot.
Okay.
Angle there.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing?
Good, sir.
Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, Council. I was just came because I was really concerned. I've always been concerned about the speed here in North College Hill. I live on Center Ridge. I have children. And I tell my wife when she came on council, that's my wife over there, mashallah. We definitely need, oh, we got a time. Okay, I got 2 minutes. 1 minute?
You got 5.
5,
Go on.
okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Speed bumps, you know, we need them, especially on Center Ridge. We got people just flying. Started to end the corner from Hamilton and just fly all the way through. I get up to go to work every morning in the dark, 2:00 a.m. So the other morning I was up when the accident was down over there. So I called my wife like, babe, I know. I knew something was up. I didn't know what was. But I was it just shook me up because we talk about, you know, just loss of life, it just bothers me. And, you know, I read the article, and the article was saying, like, you know, we don't know what happened. We don't know why the police officer was here, whatever it was. But my concern is the police officers in these vehicles. I don't know what happened, but these dark-colored police vehicles, at night, it's dark. Hamilton Avenue is treacherous in the morning. You can't see none of them. If it's raining, you can't see them. If they don't have their lights flashing, you can't see them. Some of them sit in the middle of the island, not in the middle of the island, but the middle of the street, you can't see them. And it's like stealth technology. I'm just being honest. And I don't know if that played a part in whatever the accident was, but I really think that we need to somebody needs to take a look at what color these vehicles are. Because if they're speeding, high-speed chase, I don't know what our rules are as far as high-speed chases coming through North College Hill. That definitely needs to be looked at. Unless somebody's kidnapped the president or kidnapped some kids, I don't understand why we would have these guys speeding through here. Might upset some people, but I want everybody to get home safe. The police officers and people's family. That guy never knew that he was going to drop whoever was off at Kroger's at 2 or 12 in the morning or pick him up, and he wasn't going to make it home. I'm sure the officer, he didn't know either, but we have to have rules and regulations that are safe for us too, the people that pay for the officers, you know, and that's my major concern. You know, I'm sorry for the officer, but I'm more sorry for the guy that didn't make it home. You know, he didn't choose that, you know, and that's my thing. Like, we talk about speed bumps. This wasn't about speed bumps. This wasn't about, you know, this was just about speed and what are the laws. You know, what is North College Hill? What do we say about high-speed chases? You know, what's the protocol? Especially when it's not one of ours, it's somebody else from a different community coming through our city. You know, what are those laws? You know, are they going to be held to, you know, what kind of standards are they being held to? You know, the guy wasn't my family member, but he's part of North College Hill, so that make him family. You know,
President?
and I definitely, you know, I think the community and their family deserve some answers behind this. You know, what are we gonna do? Saying sorry and we miss you and all that, it's not helping them. That's not helping them. I seen Saturday they had a vigil up here right where it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a North College Hill police officer make a U-turn with no lights in the middle of Hamilton Avenue and oncoming traffic. I watched that. I went to the corner, anybody just standing there. People have to follow. The laws is just not for us here in the community. The laws is for the police officers as well, and for the fire department and everybody else. Like I said, I want everybody to be home safe. You know, I want, you know, the speeding and all that. Maybe we do need more police presence out there to make sure people ain't speeding and getting things done. But we also have to make sure that they're thinking about us, the people in this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Ms. DeWald?
I would like to add, Mr. Alexander, I do believe that our police department has a no chase policy. I can't swear by it, but I'm pretty sure we have something like that in place. And if another department comes into our city, we can't impose on them what we do with our police officers. So if they have a no chase policy and they're chasing, we really have no jurisdiction over that. But NCH Police, they do have a policy that says, you know, it's not worth, you know, the problems it's going to cause by chasing. And if I'm incorrect on that, I'll certainly let you know.
Ms. Anderson?
I mean, I think policy is great, but it's all about people following the policy. But I agree.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I think policy is wonderful, but I think it's all about people following the policy. And I
Well,
mean, I've seen quite a many police officers break the law just as easily as I mean, think way more easily than a regular resident would. And I think you're exactly right. I think if we want to set a standard for our city, then it needs to start with our officials and it needs to start with our government. And I think that if we want people not speeding, then I shouldn't have a NCH police officer passing me going 45 down Hamilton Avenue. And I think that there's a big issue in America with police feeling like they're above the law. I don't just think that North College Hill is the only city, but just because it's a problem somewhere else does not mean that our police department gets to follow their lead. You know, if your friend jumps off a bridge, are you going to too? If a police officer in Springfield Township or Coleraine or Cincinnati or Mount Healthy isn't following the law, I'm sorry, our city needs to, and I think that that's a standard that they need to be held to. And I hope that Chief Strand's watching, and I hope that this is the last little poke I can have. And I still respect you, Chief Strand, but you got to follow up on that. I agree. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. I appreciate what you said.
Mr. President,
Ms. Nichols?
I did as well in my conversations after everything that took place, have a conversation again with Ms. Iki about we need to look into the protocols for when other officers come through our city. I'm sure everybody in this room has seen different police jurisdictions come through our city flying. And our officers, I can say I haven't seen them go at that high of a speed just through our city, even when they're on a call. So that was one of the things we talked about. What conversations do we need to have with the other police departments outside of North College Hill about when they come through North College Hill? Because I wasn't there, I wasn't here, but I do believe that speed, just considering what I've seen in the past, probably played a part in that, and it being, like Mr. Alexander said, dark.
Yes.
Thank you. We have someone else signed up, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we have Roshana Joyner as well.
Please state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah, you can adjust that down to where you need it.
I'm like 4'11". I'm sorry, what you tell me to say? My name is Rashonda Joyner. What else?
Address.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows me. 1625 West Belmar Place, because I know I've been nagging y'all. I told y'all I was the first day I came here, so got to stick to the order I have presented. So I was just actually coming because I like communication, so I just kind of wanted to know the direction of where we were heading, because it seemed like we having like a flash flood Friday, and it gives me anxiety, and I just want to know what the course, what direction we're going in, what we're waiting on, and
Mr. President.
if I need to pick you up, do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes,
as far
ma'am.
as okay, so I just didn't know what the plans were.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
So, Ms. Joyner,
Mhm.
I'm happy that you are asking that. We received a very detailed from our fabulous new city manager. She is actually working to address the issue.
Okay.
And very detailed, and what I was going to ask her later during the meeting, like, does she need anything else from us? We have, but she is absolutely
She's on it.
addressing, she is on top of it.
Okay.
So,
I appreciate it.
I will tell you that it's very detailed and very, and these things typically don't move very quickly, but she seems to be moving things right on along for you. So what I would say just is if you can just wait.
Okay.
Ms. Iki is over there at the table.
Okay.
And she,
I guess I just, I don't like being feeling like I'm kept out of the loop. Like I don't talk to anyone. I can't, and it's like,
well,
like,
we have we have that lawyer sitting over there,
Okay.
kind of making faces like, don't say this or say that on
Okay.
camera. So I'm just, so he tries to keep us in line. But what I would ask you to do is to talk to Miss Iki.
Okay.
She's on top of it. Okay.
hit me.
I don't know.
Mhm.
We'll talk after the meeting if you
Okay.
can stay around. Otherwise, we could talk tomorrow.
No,
'Cause it's,
talk
I mean,
tonight.
We're
Works
okay.
perfectly.
All right. I think this meeting will move along pretty quickly. We don't have any new legislation, so
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
we'll just catch up and I'll fill you in.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else signed in, Mr. Hedger?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. I'm gonna make sure my timer is off this time, because last meeting it went off, and it's annoying. All right, next up, we have legislation. Mr. Hedger?
Thank you. Third reading resolution number 6, 2023, a resolution to authorize the city administrator to execute a collective bargaining agreement between the city of North College Hill and the Fraternal Order of Police, Ohio Labor Council Incorporated.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adopt Resolution 6-2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Anderson to adopt Resolution 06-2023. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Abstain.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed 6, 1 abstention.
Thank you. Next reading.
Third reading, resolution number 8, 2023, resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adopt Resolution 8-2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Anderson to adopt Resolution 08-2023. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. When you're ready, next reading.
Second reading, resolution number 9, 2023, a resolution to ask for requests for proposal for the installation of a splash pad at Demley Park.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we suspend the third reading for Resolution number 9-2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. Nichols?
if we're going to suspend, I would ask that council amends the actual legislation to add as an emergency clause, so we won't have to wait to 30 days. You'll have to amend the ordinance or resolution.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I make a motion that we amend Resolution,
Yeah, we have a motion on the floor. We can amend after we suspend, right? Mr. Laflamme?
got it.
Okay. So a motion to suspend third reading by Ms. Underwood. Need a second.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson.
I'll second.
All right, motion from Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Anderson to suspend the third reading. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
can someone help me understand the business justification to suspend this?
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
so my understanding is that it's not for the city to actually enter into any agreement. It's just a request for the proposals. Is that correct? Like, so we're just requesting the information. And I just think that the longer we take, the longer this whole process is going to take. We were told, or I was expecting the splash pad to be up and running last year. I understand that these things take time, but, you know, if we just sit here and just let it sit on the agenda, just ask, all we're doing is asking for proposals. We haven't, like, given a green light, like, go make an agreement. We're just asking for, you know, people to submit the proposals to us. So I don't see that we really need to, that's why I am requesting my colleagues to suspend the readings for this.
Okay, Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
No.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed 6-1.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
Madam Mayor, what amendment do we need to make to this?
It needs to be an emergency. Mr. Laflamme, if you could give us the wording for it. And declaring an emergency.
To the end of it.
To the end of a resolution to ask for requests for proposals for installation of a splash pad at Dumley Park and declaring an emergency. If it's not done as an emergency, we have to wait 30 days before we can do anything.
So is that what we need to add, Mr. Laflamme?
Yeah.
Does that need to be?
If I could see the resolution, it'd be a little easier for me to tell you exactly what it means, but thank you. So, what I would suggest is that we would add a new section 3. Section 3 would become section 4. Section 3, the new section 3, would say that the council hereby declares an emergency with respect to the passage of this ordinance and or this resolution, and shall therefore take effect immediately upon its passage.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll make a motion to,
Ms. Underwood's already made the motion. We were just trying to hash it out. You made the motion, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay,
I don't
I'm
think she
sorry.
did.
Go ahead then.
Come
My
on, I know what
apologies.
I'm doing.
I wrote it down for some reason. That's my fault.
It's okay.
Ms. Anderson, take it away.
I'll make a motion to amend Resolution 8, 2023, to move the current Section 3 to Section 4, and to make the new Section 3, right?
You said 9, you said 8, but it's really
resolution
9.
eight. It's resolution 9.
I'm sorry, Resolution 9, 2023, to move Section 3 to Section 4, and to make the new Section 3 an emergency section declaring the splash pad an emergency so that it can be done as soon as possible.
Effective
Not-
immediately.
It has to be better language than that.
Do I have to do exactly the language?
Yes.
The language I can give you.
Yeah, can you read it down for us?
The council, yeah, you want me to just write it?
Yes, please.
That was a whole lot.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWalt?
in this moment of pause, can we expect then new legislation that would already include that instead of our handwritten edition?
No.
Mr. Hedger, will you make that amendment and
Yeah.
make it available?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter. I can take it because I already opened the motion. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Let me restart. I'll say the right resolution and everything this time. I make a motion to amend Resolution 9, 2023, to move Section 3 to Section 4, and then to add Section 3 to say the council hereby declares an emergency with respect to the passage of this resolution, which shall therefore immediately take effect upon its passage.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I'll second
No, we
that.
need the fucking thing.
Motion for Ms. Anderson, second for Ms. Underwood. I'm going to paraphrase here. To amend Resolution 9, 2023, adding a new Section 3 emergency clause. It's already been read. I don't have to read it.
Can I get it?
Um,
I need it.
Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Thank you.
We need to adopt.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I guess I'll make a motion to adopt the amended Resolution 9, 2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll second that.
Motion for Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. Underwood to adopt amended Resolution 09-2023. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
Mr. Laflamme, just as a point of order, does the title have to include the emergency clause also?
I think we usually do include that in the title. You're correct about that. I would say we should amend it to include that in the title. My apologies.
So, yeah, Mr. President,
Okay,
I'll
go ahead.
withdraw my motion.
The motion's already.
And then,
you.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Ms. Anderson.
I'll motion to change the title of Resolution 9, 2023 to, do I need to say exactly what we wanted to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a resolution declaring an emergency to ask, I'm getting head nods. A resolution to declare an emergency to ask for requests for proposals for the installation.
Ms. Anderson, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay.
If you could read the title of the ordinance as it is now and then just say, and declaring an emergency.
And declare an emergency. Thank you, okay. I'll make a motion to amend the title of Resolution 9, 2023 to say a resolution to ask for requests for proposals for the installation of a splash pad at Dumley Park and to declare an emergency.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll second that.
I think you would need to state the rest of the amendments because did you withdraw the motion amending it previously?
No, I withdraw the motion to adopt it.
Okay, motion on the floor from Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. Underwood to further amend Resolution 09-2023 by adding declare an emergency at the end of the title. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
You know? Thank you. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Zorb? Ms.
Yes.
Zorb? Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Mr. President.
Ms. Anderson?
Yeah, I'm looking around to make sure. Okay. I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 9, 2023.
Mr. President,
As amended.
As amended. Thank you. Oh, I'm so tired.
Ms. Underwood?
I second her motion.
Motion on the floor for Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. Underwood to adopt Resolution 9-2023 as amended. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Thank you. Next reading.
Second reading resolution number 10, 2023, a resolution declaring, excuse me, resolution declaring April 26, 2023 in honor of Alice and Phoebe Carey as poets of abolitionists and feminists.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll make a motion to suspend the third reading of Resolution 10, 2023. Can I give my reasoning?
Please do.
I started this baby, and I'd like to see it finish before I go, if you guys don't mind. Mary Jo, please. I'd like to see it in fruition, please.
Not gonna beg.
I'm not going to beg. I'm not
You've
begging.
stated your case.
All I
Mr.
stated was my
President.
case.
Is,
DeWald.
DeWald.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. President.
Hang on. Motion by Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. DeWald to suspend the third reading of resolution number 10, 2023. Ms. Nichols?
Ms. Anderson, I would have you know, when I spoke to Mr. Spangler, I told him that I was going to send this to him so that they can have a history lesson on North College Hill. So they will be discussing it, I assume, but he is going to most likely make them review it in his government class. So the students who couldn't make it will still get this piece of history.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Any other discussion? All right, motion to suspend third reading, resolution 10, 2023 by Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. DeWald. Please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Just stop it.
Yes.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
You're going away,
Yes.
gift.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Ms.
Just
Anderson.
so we know,
Ms.
just so you
Anderson.
know,
Yes,
Ms.
sorry.
Anderson, that I would have already made the motion to steal your thunder with
I'm
all
so
this,
sorry.
all this pause.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 10, 2023.
Mr. President.
I got Ms. DeWald.
You should let Ms. Zorb do it.
I retract that. Let somebody else do it.
Ms. Zorb?
Get somebody.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. Zorb to adopt Resolution 10, 2023. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Thank you. Next reading.
Second reading, resolution number 11, 2023, a resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Gregory Forest Lester, Inc. for the purpose of installing a Norway spruce Christmas tree.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I move that we suspend the third reading of resolution number 11-2023. And I'll push my luck here.
Way past its limit.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald.
I'll second that suspension.
All right, so motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. DeWald to suspend third reading for Resolution 11, 2023. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Just need
Ms.
to-
Dukestein?
isn't there a tree already planted?
There is.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
and it won't be billed for a long time.
All right, motion on the floor to suspend third reading, Resolution 11, 2023 by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. DeWald. Please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Nope.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed, 6-1.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 11, 2023.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. Underwood to adopt Resolution 11, 2023. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Next reading, please.
Second reading, ordinance number 1, an ordinance making additional appropriations.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I thought we had all agreed that we were going to make sure that the titles of all of the legislation actually gave us an idea of what the legislation is. I don't know whether we changed the rules about that, or I know that we talked about it, right?
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWalt?
on this particular ordinance, Ordinance 1, is that what you're referring to? There was a exhibit or an appendix to it, and that tells us what the purpose of these changes are. So you should have received in a packet maybe 2 weeks ago or last
Last week,
we are
2
doing
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
we are increasing the
Yes.
community environment contractual services to $1,874. And then we are, the mayor and then administration services for the purpose of purchasing a digital sign. So that's $13,000. So that $1,800 is for the blue spruce tree.
Okay. And I understand that. I just thought that maybe we could just put it in the title so we know what we're,
I know that in years past, that's not been done.
I know, but I thought we talked about it, is my point, right?
Well, I
Mr.
think
President.
the title that we talked about was the fines for the grass cutting and stuff. It should say clarify or declarify.
Okay, Mr. Hedger?
I received the legislation title as it was presented to me, so if the title would like to be changed, it would need to be presented that way.
So, Mr. Laflamme, correct me if I'm wrong, that's pretty standard if you're making additional appropriations to make that the title and then add in the appendix with whatever chart or spreadsheet that shows all the different changes.
Okay, Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'm not trying to, I promise I'm not trying to mix it up here today. I just thought we had talked about, just in general, not like this specific thing, like putting more information in the title. That's all. I wasn't trying to, this time, not trying to pick a fight. Not this time, but maybe next time. Huh?
I don't think you're picking a fight.
So,
I don't think it's
I'm
that.
not aware of any changes that we've made in council to anything like this, so I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I will support Ms. Underwood on this. I think we did have this conversation, and it was predominantly based on when you look at the website and you see ordinance that says making additional appropriations, it's meaningless. And we were doing it so that it was more descriptive. So I agree. I know we did have this conversation. And whether it's legal or not wasn't really the issue. It was more of like a community awareness kind of thing.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I think what Mr. Hedger is saying is if that is what we're going to do, it has to be sent to him so that he can send it to us that way. So, right, or no, Mr. Hedger? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWalt?
and I'm not trying to pick a fight either. I just, in recalling this, we were talking strictly about the resolutions for tall grass, trash, and things of that nature. Because that title has to be different. In the years past, it has not. It says the same thing, whether we're giving money back or charging them. So we've asked to have it to be declarified when we're giving the money back. So I don't recall talking about all the ordinances or resolutions in general.
Okay, good discussion. Thank you. Next reading.
Second reading, ordinance number 2, 2023, an ordinance to authorize a supplemental pay to Lolandis Willis for finance manager duties.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Okay. I wanted to bring this up, and I know it's an item of contention, but I have to vote according to my conscience. And I was told by this woman that she herself received a $1,000 bonus, and I know, some people are calling it hearsay, but it was told to me. It's not hearsay to me. And because that wasn't found, doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I'm just asking council to really think about this. We're looking at what, $2,500? And she's already received $1,000 that can't be found.
Mr. President.
No. I'm finished.
Ms. Dukestein?
If you had something more to add, go ahead. I just wanted to
No,
let him know.
I'm
that-
finished.
Okay. I just want to say for the record, we did, and I'm responding to Mrs. Dewald's position. Everyone, please have your own position. But we do need to say for the record, administration did look for the compensation that Ms. Willis said that she received, and it was not founded. And I would like administration to please give confirmation of that, yay or
Mr.
nay.
President,
Ms. Underwood?
point of order. This is the second reading. We are not voting on this evening, so can we, just like to point that out for everybody, that second reading.
That is fair as well. Let's move on. Next reading, please.
Second reading ordinance number 3, 2023, an ordinance to establish a capital improvements fund and city development recreation fund to replace the city's home improvement fund.
And last reading.
Second reading ordinance number 4, 2023, an ordinance to provide a pay stipend to the police chief and fire chief for jointly assisting with the duties of the city manager.
Thank you for the readings, Mr. Hedger. At this point, we do have an opportunity for further remarks from the audience as it pertains to any of the legislation we have discussed tonight. I see none, so we'll move on to old business.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I move to adjourn.
Hold on.
What? There's no old business.
I haven't asked for new business yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Call me Margie.
Yep, so hearing no old business, we'll move to new business.
It's like, I'm ready to go.
Mr. President.
Mr. President?
I had Ms. Anderson first.
I just, really quickly, I forgot to say thank you to somebody really important, and I know this isn't really new business, but Ms. Clear has been an amazing, and I totally forgot to say thank you to her. It was on my list, but I started crying and I had to stop. I just really didn't want to leave without publicly thanking her for all the work that she does for the city. I'm sorry to add that, but thank you so much.
Ms. Zorb?
This is probably closer to old business. We've been in here long enough, and it's getting really warm. Can we make sure that we are looking towards that air conditioner that we've talked about and beat that subject to death, but yet it's still hot?
Excuse me, we have one bid. We were looking for another one, a quote for the work. We could proceed with one quote. It's certainly within my threshold of approval. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other new business?
Yay, we're gonna get air conditioning.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll move to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I'll second that.
Motion for Ms. Anderson, her last one. Second by Ms. DeWald to adjourn. Any discussion besides thank you again, Ms. Anderson, for your time on council. It's been a pleasure. Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Mr. Wald?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.